Everybody, it's 2:30. I want to be respectful of everyone's time, and I know we've got pretty much a jam-packed agenda, Mr. Manager, so we better make sure that we get started on time. Let's start with introductions.
Good afternoon. I am Arlissa Easton, Deputy Clerk to the Board.
Good afternoon. I'm Barb Felder, Assistant Clerk to the Board.
Good afternoon. I'm Laura Meyer, and I represent District 5.
Good afternoon. I'm George Dunlap, elected by the people of District 3.
Good afternoon, Mark Jarrell, elected by the people of District 4, also have the honor of serving as chair.
Good afternoon. My name is Vilma D. Leake, and I represent the most powerful district in the county, and elected by the most powerful people in the county of District 2.
Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Arthur Griffin. I happen to serve as County Commissioner at Large.
Good afternoon. I am Mecklenburg County Commissioner Elaine Powell, representing Huntersville, Davidson, Cornelius, and North Charlotte. Welcome.
Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Yvette Townsend Ingram, also known as Commissioner YTI, and I serve you at large on the County Commission.
Good afternoon, Tyrone Wade, County Attorney.
Good afternoon. I'm Mike Bryan, Mecklenburg County Manager.
All right, can we hear from the executive team, please?
Good afternoon, Dr. Campbell, Deputy County Manager.
Good afternoon, Leslie Johnson, Deputy County Manager.
Good afternoon, Deputy County Manager Michelle Latreed.
Good afternoon, Derek Ramos, Deputy County Manager and Chief of Staff.
Yes. Good. All right, if you'll stand and join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. I want to say welcome again, and before I turn it over to the manager, I want to start our meeting the way we do with our mission and our vision. Again, this helps us ground our conversation so that you all know what's guiding our thoughts, guiding our actions. Our mission is to serve Mecklenburg County residents by helping improve their lives and community. Our vision is Mecklenburg County will be a community of pride and choice for people to live, learn, work, and recreate. Our board budget priorities for FY 2026 and 2027 are as follows: economic development, education, environmental stewardship, health equity and wellness, services for seniors, workforce development, and reducing racial disparities. And with that, I will turn it over to the manager to tee us off for the first topic.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon again. You have two items on your agenda this afternoon, actually 3 presentations. There were initially 5 items, but you'll see on your packet that 2 of the items were removed and will be added to your April 7th regular meeting. I wanted to be sure that we had enough time to discuss the 2 items that are remaining on the agenda. The first item, our CFO, David Boyd, will be presenting, is pertaining to our capital improvement plan. David is going to provide you a status update and present to you a staff recommendation for your consideration. And followed by that, you will have representatives from our Citizens Capital Budget Advisory Committee. Mr. Gabe Matchless will be presenting. We'll be sharing with you the CCBAC's perspective of what David is going to share with you this afternoon. So, Mr. Chair, with that, I ask that you recognize our CFO, David Boyd, please.
David is recognized, and Mr. Manager, just for clarification, no action, but staff is looking for definitive feedback from this board around the presentation and recommendation.
There is a recommendation. We do want your feedback on that recommendation, but you don't necessarily have to take a formal action on it.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm David Boyd. I'm the county's Chief Financial Officer. I'm going to give you an update, as the manager said, about where we're at with our CIP. We teased this a little bit at the retreat in regards to how can we be creative in dealing with some of our challenges with the operating budget. And as the manager said, we'll have the CCBAC follow right behind me. So I'm going to start with a little bit of background before I get to what we're recommending that we do. And starting with, how do we pay for our capital improvement plan? So the county's total tax rate is, as you know, 49.27 cents. And what we have been doing is pushing a certain portion of that, 37.7 cents of it to be specific, to the general fund, and then 11.57 cents of that to the debt service fund. That 11.57 cents has stayed relatively constant with the exception of any increases that were related to bond issuances and been adjusted based on revenue neutral calculations for the past several years. What that does is that allows us to know more definitively how much revenue we have to pay for debt service and capital. And that's important as we build the financial model that determines our overall capital capacity. So what happens then is we take that property tax revenue along with any other revenues. There's some restricted sales tax that has to be used for school capital, some ABC revenues, some investment earnings, and we push all that into the debt service fund where we make our actual debt payments. We pay for ongoing recurring capital maintenance. That would include capital maintenance for county facilities, for CMS, for Central Piedmont Community College, for our IT tech reserve projects, our fleet replacement, maintenance for Park and Rec, and on an ongoing basis, that's at least $50 million, which we have also supplemented with some fund balance over the past couple of years. And then the balance then goes into our pay-go fund to pay for non-debt funded capital projects. And this button does not want to work. So this is an output from our financial model that we use to determine how we can afford to pay for our capital plan. And to orient you to what you're looking at, the green bars are the cash balances in our CIP at the end of each fiscal year projected by the model. The purple line is projected spending on projects, and then the black dots are the size and the date where we intended to issue bonds to pay for projects. This does not include any CMS projects. This is just for county, CPC, library, park and rec projects. As you know, all of the CMS projects are funded by the voter approved bonds, so we're not really talking about any of that today. And you can see we've got a significant amount of cash at the end of 2025, and then it gets spent down over time. This picture makes some key assumptions, and they're up there at the top right. So first of all, this does assume that 2-cent property tax increase in 2028 that we've been talking about. 1 cent of that is for additional CMS bonds. 1 cent of that is for county-funded projects. And then another 1 cent tax increase in 2029, again for CMS bonds. Those are all consistent with what we've been talking about since we adopted the first 5-year rolling CIP and when the voters approved the school bonds. This also assumes some ongoing capacity for projects once we get outside of number one, our 5-year rolling CIP period, as well as when we get to the end of the bond-funded projects for CMS. We had to make sure that we didn't spend all of our money now, and by the time we got to the end, we didn't have any capacity for any projects after that. So beginning in 2029, this makes an assumption that there's $150 million of new projects that would start for CMS that would theoretically be voter-approved debt. And then the same thing for county projects beginning in 2031, which was the next 5th year in our rolling CIP, that we would have $150 million worth of capacity. And then between 26 and 32, there's an assumption that we would issue that $500 million worth of debt you see there on the chart. And you can see all the goal here, kind of like a video game, I guess, is to keep the bars have to be green. So one of the things that we were talking about in how do we solve for some of the challenges we've got on the operating side is perhaps we should reevaluate this split between how much of our property tax rate goes to the general fund and how much of it goes to pay for capital. And so the manager asked us to take a look at what would it look like if we did take 1 cent of the property tax rate and shift it from our capital plan to operating. So 1 cent on the tax rate is roughly $30 million. But if you did this, that's not just a $30 million impact, it's $30 million every year going forward. So for 5 years, that's $150 million impact on revenue that's flowing into the plan. And so this has been updated based on what were the actual results at the end of 2025, as well as what would happen if we took 1 cent of the property tax rate out of this plan. And you can see that when we get out there outside of 2031, we don't have enough money to pay for the plan based on the assumptions that I described to you before. It's not, what we've got flowing in doesn't cover the costs of our debt service and the planned capital that we've got plugged in there. So our task was, how do you solve for that? And there's a lot of things we have to think about in what do we decide we're going to change in that capital plan, because we were all very thoughtful about what we put in to start with. And so now we need to understand what we might change. And there's a number of major considerations, many of which we talked about at the retreat in January, and we continue to talk about. So first of all, what is our approach to land acquisition? How much, what's it for, how do we pay for it? What is the balance of financial return versus environmental benefits for some of our sustainability projects? Do we need to perhaps reevaluate the CRC model for health and human services delivery? As well as what is the long-term operating costs of new projects as they come online? I think we talked about that when I was providing an update on the financial situation, that we perhaps haven't been as foresightful as we should have been in thinking about what's it cost to maintain stuff once we finish them? And do we have accurate projections of what the long-term impact of, say, once we get X number of miles of greenway, what's it cost to take care of that? What's it cost to staff a new library branch when we bring it online, or upgrade a rec center, those types of things. And then the other question is, what's the right balance between reinvestment in our current assets versus building new stuff? And are we allocating enough of our capital dollars to taking care of what we have before we build new things? Along with, what's not on the page here is what else have we learned since we've adopted the CIP, and are there, other priorities that have arisen that weren't priorities before, or is something that's in there that we intended to do no longer a priority, or is there a greater one that's come up that we need to consider? Now it wants to go 100 pages at once. So normally at this meeting, I would be up here showing you what we're recommending the new 5-year rolling CIP looks like, and get your feedback about specific projects, what's in, what's out, what's changed. And then we would get your feedback, come back next month, incorporating your feedback and say, all right, this is what we heard, this is what we're recommending the new rolling 5-year CIP looks like, and then we would adopt that with the FY27 budget. We don't have time in this timeline to, this thing is not working for me, to consider all of these things and still be able to land that plane by the time the manager recommends his operating budget. In terms of what specific changes are we going to make in the capital plan, considering these 5 things and other stuff that's not on the screen. So what we are recommending, my goodness, is that we push pause on this 5-year rolling CIP development right now and launch a comprehensive review of the plan and what we might consider adding in 2031. Meanwhile, we will continue all the projects that are currently underway. We would proceed with initial approval for all of the projects that were expected to start in 2027, but before somebody is ready to put a contract out to bid or put a shovel in the ground, that we'll have a conversation about whether or not, yes, that's definitely going to continue in the new plan, or we're not really sure about that one, or something else has changed before we actually say, yes, go ahead and do that project. We will take time between now and what we're proposing is the end of the calendar year to incorporate whatever other kind of policy direction we might get from you, from new county leadership, from all of our partner agencies that have a role in the CIP, and come back to you at the end of the year, well, check in with you periodically between now and the end of the year with a new rolling 5-year CIP that is funded with 1 less cent of property tax and incorporates whatever other policy direction we get. So this would allow us to continue to address our immediate priorities, but thoughtfully and strategically shift the projects around based on the reduced revenue picture. So the good thing about the 5-year rolling CIP process is it gives us that long window to be able to make thoughtful changes without having to make immediate course corrections or some knee-jerk decisions, right? We've got stuff underway. We've got 5 years of roadmap ahead of us about what we were intending to do. So it gives us the opportunity to be thoughtful in how we might make some of these changes. Pushing pause has no impact on projects that are currently underway. This has in no way, shape, or form any impact on any of the CMS projects. They're proceeding with their own funding source, their own timelines, and so that's set off to the side, not affected by this at all. And then I think more importantly from an operating budget standpoint is this would allow us to shift, at least in 2027, $30 million of revenue to the operating side of the ledger to help address that funding gap that we're trying to solve for. So I think what we're saying here is we believe that this is a thoughtful strategy that would help kind of kill 2 birds in 1 stone. It kind of forces us to reevaluate the CIP, which, I think this is the 4th year now that we've been heading down the 5-year CIP track. And so it forces us to do that with minimal impact on what's going on right now, and basically just gives us more time to think about some of those policy considerations that came up at the retreat. So just for context for you, I've included some additional information in your materials about the specific project, so just to remind you of what's out there. So what you've got is the same information packaged up a bunch of different ways here. So you've got the projects that we're expecting to complete this year or next year. So those are the ones that are underway. We've got some projects that were planned to start in 2027. You've got the entire picture of the projects that were intended to start between 27 and 30. And then you've also got one of all of the projects that are currently in progress, or for some reason they're not closed out because there's some administrative reason that they're still open, or there may be some lingering bills or warranty issues, but many of the projects on the list are complete, but they're just not technically closed out yet. For any future conversations that we have with you, they will be more project specific. The intent today is not to talk about individual projects, what's in, what's out. It's really just to share with you where we are with this concept of moving some tax revenue from the capital plan to operating, let you know that we need some time to reevaluate what that new capital plan will look like, answer your questions, and get whatever feedback you have As we move forward, Commissioner Griffin, your question about can we get some district information to know what projects are well, we'll be sure to include that in future conversations about as we're talking about individual projects. That's what I've got. I'm happy to answer any questions you all may have, and then we'll hear from CCBAC, or we can do that now, however you'd like to handle it, Mr. Chairman.
I probably want to set right here and go through some questions prior to CCBAC. Mr. Manager, were you going to say something?
Yeah, well, I do want to make a couple of comments and connect the dots going back to your budget retreat back in January. You'll recall that we shared with you all that we have a expense problem. We don't necessarily have a revenue problem. Right now we're forecasting about $39 million in growth revenue. That revenue doesn't necessarily percentage-wise keep pace with the growth we experienced in prior years, but we do have some growth. The challenge is we have to get our arms around the expenditures. And I also shared with you that everything is on the table in terms of looking at all the expenses. At your April 7th meeting, again, Adrian Cott's going to present to you an overview of our deep dive assessment of our operating budget. So not only looking at the operating, but also looking at the capital budget as well. You can do the math. As David presented to you, as part of my recommended budget, if I was to consider shifting 1 cent over, that 39 million then goes to 70 million, 69 million, right? Or some lesser amount. Slide 6 pretty much is the core of this presentation because it shares with you the different levers that I have to pull when it comes to looking at different revenue options for consideration. As David mentioned, we're going to take this assessment going into the summer and the fall months. We're going to do our due diligence, assess any impact, and then come back to you. However, it is highly likely that one of those levers I will pull as part of my recommended budget for your consideration. So I want to be very clear on that. And also be mindful that even if I pull half a cent, 1 cent, 2 cents, unless we get this expenditure challenge that we have under control, we're right back here in 2028. So it's really important that you all understand how all of this is connected. With that, we're ready to take your questions.
Thank you for that. And just as a reminder, team, we need to really stay focused on providing the feedback of what we want to see, understanding that everyone reserves the right to change their mind or make some different choices. And so with that, who has questions? Everybody has. Let me start with Commissioner Meyer.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this. First of all, I want to say I love that we're pausing. Because what I think you said thoughtful strategy. I think that's very important. Things change. Everything has changed. And I really love that. I love that we're looking at everything thoughtfully. And that's how we should do it. That's how everybody should do it. And so thank you for that. I think I do want to just put my plug in for anything environmental, land acquisition. I hate to see that go. I hate to see we drop that because we're lacking land. It's not replenishable. So I just want to put my plug in for land acquisition. And I understand we may not be at the level that I would like to be at or that some of us would like to be at, but I don't want to stop that approach of land acquisition. And so all these back in the back under the appendix, things that have already started are not on the pause.
That's right.
They're not. Okay, like the Umbrella Center. We're still gonna go through with it. Okay.
Everything that's underway will continue as planned.
Okay, and just more input, I'm very much in favor of reevaluating the CRCs. I think there are other models we could use. I don't think we need them like we thought. I think we could do, other possibilities. People really want to see rec centers. Maybe we could do some kind of I mean, I don't know, some kind of combined effort there. But I do 100% agree with looking at the CRCs. So those are my two major
And Commissioner Myers, not only the projects that are underway, but also the projects slated for fiscal year 27 as well. Those projects will continue also.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you for that.
Thank you. We're going to go Commissioner Townsend Ingram, then Commissioner Dunlap.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you all for the presentation. Several questions as I was trying to just kind of evaluate this. And I guess the first question I want to start with is the goals. If we're going to do a pause, there has to be a rationale for and a goal of where you want to land and a timeline if we're doing the pause for where you want to have these recommendations and what you expect to obtain from that pause. Because again, you said that the rate of growth is not really the issue. The revenue is not really an issue, that the expenditures are. And I can actually agree with that. The chair and I talked about that some yesterday. But at the rate of growth, which has been stagnant at 3 to 4%, and where we are in the economy and the volatility that's in the market for everything else, it's like, well, what role does that play? Will the pause, in effect, allow you to make some changes with regard to that and how we do our investments so that we can look at growth? Because we don't want to just do one thing, right? We want to hopefully come to a happy medium where we can both cut expenditures and show that long-term we can improve our revenue growth. So I guess my first question, major question is, how does the delay in growth, how does first of all, why do we not have enough time now to evaluate? And I understand that that's a lot. You've got 5 different items that you need to consider. But we've been working on this for a while now. Is it just because of the changes that we've made, like, for instance, of the combination of the tax assessor and the tax collection? Does that play a role? Or what were the major factors in some of the changes that we're making, and what do you expect to achieve at the pause in addition to timeline?
Yeah, I'll respond to a couple of your questions. I'm sure David will have something to add, okay? Beginning with the goal, certainly the board's priorities is a driver. However, it gets back to Commissioner Myers' point regarding what I would categorize as affordability. When you think about a lot of the projects that were identified, the community resource centers, some of the other large projects, they're actually good projects, you know, in terms of the services that be provided, one-stop shop, but times have changed, you know, from when they were initially placed in our CIP, particularly from a cost perspective. And when you factor the cost versus the benefit, we have to take all of that into consideration and reset our CIP. So I would say the initial goal, balanced with your board priorities, is affordability. Again, to get control of the expense side of our budget, both on the operating and capital. The pause, in my opinion, yes, it will allow us to account for the changes in our community to include growth. You all heard the numbers. We got 157 people moving every day. 83 of those are moving here in Mecklenburg County. So as we see that booming population, as we have challenges with affordability in our capital improvement plan, the pause will allow us to factor all of that. In terms of why can't we complete the evaluation now, and again, I know the staff, they'll share their perspective, but you got to keep in mind, there's a lot of projects that we vet through, not just county projects, but CMS projects, which CMS won't be impacted, as David pointed out, but CPC. Also, we have projects with other partners as well. And there is a process behind the scenes that the staff go through in assessing those projects and bringing it all together. There is no way that we can complete that full assessment, including impact, by the time I release my budget this spring in May. And in terms of the OTC, the Office of Tax Collector, and the Assessor's Office, no, that has no relevance here. There will be no capital expenses associated with that merger, nor does that decision play into this from an operating or capital standpoint.
David, did you want to add anything to that?
I think the only thing I would say to help everyone understand process and timeline is we start the process for developing our 5-year rolling CIP like end of September, early October, where we start updating models, looking at projections, getting updated cash flows, getting new project requests from folks. And so we are, 70+% usually complete with things by the time we get to January, early February. Well, this year, in trying to be creative with a new approach to dealing with our operating expenditures situation, the manager said in January and February, hey, let's look at this, which was a completely new paradigm for us to operate within, starting now, January, February, as opposed to September, October. So that may help you understand the timeline and why we need more time to consider these things in not a rushed way to make sure what we bring to you makes the most sense within the smaller revenue pot we have to work with on the CIP side.
And can I just add, let me be clear, I don't think that a pause, I agree with Commissioner Meyer, I think the pause is excellent. I just want to understand what the goals are. What do you hope to accomplish during the pause? There has to be some goal.
So there's 2 things. One of them is a math exercise. We have to make all of those red bars turn green. We have to figure out what can we put in the plan, take out of the plan in order to be able to afford it, because we have less revenue available to pay for the capital plan. So part of it is a math exercise, but we can't just do a math exercise because we have to consider these things will inform what projects end up in there. So that's the goal from a capital standpoint, and why it's going to take between now and the end of the year to solve for both of those 2 things. It's very easy for me to go in and just take a certain amount of projects out to make that math work. That's not going to address these considerations that we need a lot of input from a lot of different people to solve for.
Thank you. And then Commissioner Townsend Ingram, just for your visibility, they'll make a recommendation and the board will make that decision if we agree or not. Commissioner Dunlap.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I clearly understand why you're recommending a pause, and I think it makes real good sense to do so. As you've stated, a lot of things change. During that pause, we might determine that some things that are in we want to take out. We might decide that some newer things might be more important to putting in. So all that makes sense. The questions I have really doesn't have anything to do with that. I got basically 2 questions. And one of them could just be a misunderstanding on my part. On page number 4, up at the top, we're talking about tax rate increases. I never knew that the 2-cent tax increase included 1 cent for CMS and 1 cent for the county. I always thought it was a 2 cent for CMS. And anyway, so maybe you can tell me where I missed that. And the other question is, I still do arithmetic. And so if my arithmetic is correct, if the county tax rate is 49.27 cents, and you do 37.7 in general fund and 11.57 cents in debt service, then there's another 0.63 cent somewhere, because the 2 don't add up to 49.27. And so my question is, at that rate, it's more than a half a cent. So that's another almost $20 million. Where is that?
I get 49.27 when I add these together.
It's 70, not 7 cents. It's 70 cents up top.
It's right.
He's looking at it as 7 cents.
So where is it?
No, the math is right.
37.70, not just.
37.70 and 11.57.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
so,
so-
all right, so
Yeah.
all right, that's what messed me up. I'm like, that ain't never. Okay, now I understand. All right, but we're good then.
You good with that?
Yeah, I'm not sure what you're recollecting, but this is consistent with what we've been sharing on the tax rate and how the allocation between the school district and county projects has been from the get-go.
So another reason I support this pause is, since my bell hadn't rung, is in 27, when we do revaluation, depending on whether the state pauses it or not, it gives us an opportunity to reposition ourselves as well.
That is a very good point, Commissioner Dunlap, that as we look at, redoing the plan, it's likely that the timing and size of what projects are where are going to move around, which could potentially impact that 1 cent for county projects that might be needed and when it might be needed. The tax rate increases for schools are pretty well locked in based on that size of borrowing and when we were expecting to issue debt. But it could very well be an outcome that these tax rate increases change as a part of this process.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go Commissioner Powell, Commissioner Leak, and Griffin.
Thank you. I'm going to get it all out first, in case it takes 3 minutes. So I agree with a lot with what Commissioner Meyer said. So I'm just going to start on the major considerations. I'm glad that we are being fiscally responsible. I'm glad that we're thinking about how to get our arms around expenses. I'm glad it's on a pause. My understanding is it's just 1 year, and then reevaluate, like we're not pausing more than 1 year for that $30 million. I'd really like to know what would happen if the state started funding what they're supposed to fund. We wouldn't even be in this position, correct? And I'm just going to start on major considerations. Approach to land acquisition. It did change. It became more urgent. It became much more urgent. Just last night, in one decision, 44 more acres of impervious just in my district. I didn't add it up for all districts, but it became more urgent. It has to remain a top priority. I agree with Commissioner Meyer. We really need to reevaluate the CRCs. My memory is it was $500 million. That would, right there, deferring that would help. Long-term operating costs have to be considered, because I think in the past they haven't really been considered, and the burden gets put upon the employees that are already there to operate more facilities. Reinvestment of current assets versus funding new facilities, that's a delicate tightrope, because the entire county wants a commitment to what they don't have. So while we do have some facilities, there's the rest of the county waiting for their facilities. And a lot of times people ask me, Commissioner Griffin and I were meeting yesterday talking about what if the state did fill the gap for the void, what would that look like? I think we really need to show that to our citizens. For some reason, the voters aren't even aware of how we're being double taxed. I've heard that this is one of the smartest strategies in a rough budget time is to defer some of the CIP projects. So I'm glad we're being really smart about that. I really like the presentations we're getting, especially in Health and Human Services, where it shows what mandatory is and discretionary. And without the infrastructure of much of the discretionary, you cannot support the mandatory. And so it's like a word that I don't like. I don't like the discretionary, but okay. So
Finish what you're saying.
I don't like the discretionary because most of our discretionary, not all of it, but most of it is an important infrastructure for mandatory. And I just want the whole world, it feels like the media is asleep. I want the whole world to know that we are in this position somewhat because of the gap in state funding. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Leek.
Let me first say thank you for making this available to us. My concern is how then do we transfer this information to the general public so they too will understand what the issues are and not? How do we do this?
So we do engage regularly in this process with the Citizens Capital Budgeting Advisory Committee. They are selected from the general public to kind of represent different parts of the county in this whole planning process, and they've been plugged in from the beginning, and you'll hear from them after me.
If you look on page 9, and I looked at shift of property tax from CIP provides operating revenue to help close budget gap without an increase in total tax rate. That to me is important. How do we generate this information for clarity, what I just read, to the general public so they won't think we're coming back and adding new tax to the process?
Yeah, we can work with our communications folks to make sure that we get that message out.
Please do.
Yes.
And especially to my seniors who find themselves dealing with their budget and the taxation process, and especially the property tax.
Yeah, I
For
appreciate it.
clarity.
Yes, ma'am.
The language needs to be amenable for us so that we can understand what we're doing and how we're doing it. So how often will we be generating this information to the general community?
Given the time of year that we're in, it will be routinely. It would be weekly,
be
monthly.
routine.
Yes, we'll be sending things out regarding where we are with our budget process. So again, I'll work with communications and we'll sort through something.
Should we thank you for this, giving this to us early than we have before?
Well, I want to thank you for the feedback you're providing me. This is why we brought it forward. You know, you asked that we be transparent and not fully bake the cake, and this is one of the ways that we're doing that. Want to share with you what we're
As our leader,
thinking.
you're being transparent.
Yes.
Thank you. I hope the general public will hear this.
And also building on your point about being clear, I want to be clear that we are not in a financial crisis. This is not the 2008-2009 recession, but instead we are rethinking, as I shared with you, how we budget, and we're recommitting to our fiscal discipline strategy as well. I actually, as we will go through this exercise, it is my intent to begin with honoring my predecessors' decisions that they made to the extent possible, both the former county managers. But times have changed, you know, since they made those decisions. And I have to balance that with the affordability and where we are as well. Also, I'm going to consider your feedback that we're receiving today as well. And we'll just see where we land with the results and the completion of our assessment. But that's why it's so important that we receive your feedback today.
Thank you. We have 2 students here, and I hope they're generating and understanding what we're doing. 2 young men who are football players. Stand up, sons. Oh, so we do have some young ladies. Stand up. Take the good news back, okay? And thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your leadership.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Griffin.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Manager, I certainly appreciate your approach to trying to deal with the budget in a reasonable fashion. My first response, Mr. Manager, is I don't support this approach because I don't have enough information for me to make the kind of decision that I'm comfortable with. I may end up where you are, but I don't have the necessary information to get there. One question I have is our budget spends $585 million in discretionary. Is debt service in the discretionary? So debt service is somewhere else, and you say we have an expense problem, and so out of $585 million that is discretionary, we're looking somewhere in our budget for $30 million is what you're asking for. And one way to get $30 million is from the capital area, your CIP. I could probably get there if there was more data in front of me to help me get there. This is an expedient way to try to address what you set out to say. We got an expenditure problem, not a revenue problem. And the easy way of doing it is to grab some future dollars and then have us go through an exercise of major considerations. And what I've heard so far are concerns about the CRC. If the CRCs are ineffective or they're white elephants or something, maybe we ought to look to sell them. You know, if they have a purpose, then let's look at what those purposes are. And that's where the data-driven decision-making comes from me, is making decisions that are impactful for the whole community and all the residents of Mecklenburg County. Based on what's in front of me right now, I was thinking, Commissioner Powell reminded me, I chair the Health and Human Services, and we got a fire hydrant drill recently on mandated services versus discretionary services. But because it was a fire hydrant drill, there wasn't adequate time to drill down. It'll take us weeks to kind of go through mandated versus discretionary and make some kind of decisions. I think you're absolutely correct in terms of saying we got an expenditure problem. I won't say an expenditure problem. It's just we have an expenditure issue and a revenue issue, and there's a $30 million gap there. That $30 million has to be dealt with. I would say, you know, throw the ball back in our court and let us look at unpack the $30 million for this budget rate, even if we have to come back for another budget session, and then go through that $30 million of expenditure on that side of the ledger and see if you can get 5 votes from this Board of County Commission to go one way or the other. I mean, this is an easy way to get it, but I can't support it right now, given the fact that I don't have enough information in front of me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The bell has sounded. I have a lot more to say, but my time is up.
Let me, I'll expend some of my time to you and after we go through everyone else. Go ahead.
So you're going back to, yeah, I was just going to respond this way. I certainly appreciate your comments and feedback, Commissioner Griffin. That's why what David presented to you, he noted that we need some time to complete that overall assessment, which is inclusive of looking at the data, such as the traffic that we have going into our east located CRC, the west as well. You may recall that the county launched an effort to increase foot traffic at the EBS CRC as well. We need to look at those numbers. That's why we're not coming today definitively saying we're going to cut this out. Because if the data suggests that the utility is there, then we need to look at something else. The other thing I was saying, you know how the process flows. You're going to receive my recommended budget based on logic, and then I'm going to hand it off to you, and then you all decide to do what you decide to do. But we're at the phase now where the ball is in my court before I put it in your court.
Thank you.
So all of that in terms of how I arrive at my decision on how I want to account for 1 cent, half a cent, whatever it may be, how I want to look at the non-discretionary services, that ball is in my court now. I hadn't passed it to you. I will pass it to you May 14th. And I can assure you, and this is again, you'll get a presentation on April 7th, that's where you get all the data and the logic behind the decisions I made. Right now, I'm only asking you for feedback relative to a pause for the reasons that David has stated. So you'll get your opportunity, but now the ball is my court.
Thank you.
Good.
I've shared you my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Altman.
Did you hear that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So bottom line, page 11 is going to get completed, front and back. And page 13, front and back is on pause, yeah?
Except for the ones that are starting in 27. The 13 and 14 is everything 27 to 30, just kind of a comprehensive
Right.
view. These, well, this clicker and I are not getting along. These are the ones that are starting in 2027 that, at least initially, have the green light. They're also included on this page as well.
All right, well, Mr. Chairman, do you mind looking at Mr. Manager, do you mind looking at your packet there? Just page 11, front and back, definitely getting completed. And page 13, front and back are on hold. That's the bottom line. Okay, so I concur with the recommendation. I think it's a mostly do no harm while we get organized approach, and I agree that we need to maximize the good for our community with limited resources, and if we're not getting the foot traffic at some of our assets, rather than double downing on that, I know I don't hear people generally asking for another CRC, but I do hear them asking for a rec center in Steel Creek. And I just want to be sure that we do the most good and really responsive to our community. So thank you for the thoughtfulness. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I do want to make sure that you were clear. I know you said 13 and 14 are on hold, but I think the first quarter of page 13 will get done, right? Everything that shows 27.
Everything that has an FY27 start date is preliminarily approved, and we're going to look at those things as the year goes forward to see if there's anything on there that needs to get paused for some other reason.
See what I'm saying at the top here?
But this right here, this is all on hold?
FY start.
Just everything other than 27's
got it.
right here.
After
You see what I'm
28
saying?
down.
Well, no, there's 20, it's mixed up a
I
little bit,
see.
right?
I see.
But a lot of it is right there.
Okay.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you for that.
So that I didn't want her to think that everything on there was on hold. Point it out to 27.
Everything that's labeled 2028 and through 30.
Right.
Understood. Thank you
Yep.
for the clarification.
Sure. Let me, Commissioner Griffin, I know you had a couple of follow-ups. I'll give you 60 seconds to hit your follow-ups.
No, on the CRCs, I'm not sure what your data will be, but one consideration was have a CRC to replace the Rosa Parks, the public health center on Beattyford Road that's been there for a number of years. Beattyford Road looks the same as it did when I was in high school, and there's no municipal investments on that whole corridor coming down other than sidewalks, utilities, and some other things. You have the what do you call the thing that goes from Eastland to the slow thing? Yeah,
That thing, yeah, that thing.
The trolley. We talk about using transit. Some people voted for the transit tax to put a health facility or something that's useful, and transportation won't be a barrier. So, I certainly support the concept of CRCs. Manager, I said, if the data comes in, I may change my mind completely about it. But clearly, philosophically, we need to make sure investments are equitably distributed around this county. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for that.
Yeah, you got it. I want to respond to a couple of things that Commissioner Griffin said, and obviously we'll have that discussion, to your point, Commissioner, around the the ball being put back in our court to go through and potentially look at slashing 30 million. But I will tell you, we had a heck of a time with 19 million. We had a heck of a time doing that, and it wasn't a really good process. It was no one's fault. I mean, we would tasked to make tough decisions, but if I remember that was tough. So the 30 million, I just want us to keep that in mind. If we had to do something similar, we'd have to find a better way to do that. With respect to the CRCs, to your point about Beattyford Road, I think the question for me would be, Commissioner, is a county asset what we need to facilitate change on a corridor like Beattyford Road? Or is it more so the county facilitating something with respect to economic development, some other way to change that corridor as opposed to perpetuating this idea of just social services in and of itself? And I don't know, I'm not trying to debate it in that sense, but maybe that's something we need to think about. How does the county facilitate that level of facilitation of development or change on a corridor, and not just Beatties Ford Road, right? It could be Central Avenue, Albemarle Road, South Boulevard, Sugar Creek, right? So, you know, and I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if the board would even consider something like that. I'm just throwing that out there. And maybe it's a both and. So I'm going to leave that there, but just to unpack a couple of things. Mr. Manager, this is exactly what I asked for at the fall retreat. It's exactly what I asked for, so I appreciate it. You promised us that you were going to give us options moving forward. This is an option. You've shown us the levers that you have to pull. I believe everyone is pretty much, most board members at this point support the pause. Obviously, there'll be debate around the levers when it comes back to us, if that's the case, or using some other option that might have been presented. For me, I think we have enough CRCs personally, but that's just where I'm at. Right now, the EBS does not seem to be picking up the foot traffic. Freedom VCW is certainly, you know, used and seems to be the flagship for us, and EBS is not, it doesn't have the same foot traffic at this point. Bringing another one online, I personally think it's, at this point, it's a waste of money. I think it's a great concept. Unless we can find some way to increase that traffic and increase outcomes, I can't support another, going down that road, building another CRC. The final thing that two other things that I want to piggyback on. One thing was Commissioner Lee talked about engagement. I really think that it's time for us to rethink the way we are delivering information. I've said this before. We have got to get ahead of communicating this information to people, and not to sound an alarm, because like you said, we're not in a crisis. But there are factors that people need to understand, Mr. Manager, and for this board and this staff to get out in the public, whether it's a press briefing and an understanding that, number one, $484 million are being shorted, and they need to understand how that impacts. When the state is going to lower the corporate tax rate, while it doesn't have a direct impact, it certainly has an indirect impact, because guess what? They're not going to have any more money to fund to us. It's not, the money's not there so if we think that $484 million is something, wait till 2032 when that corporate tax rate is zero and they leave all of the funding to everything that they're supposed to do to us locally. It's going to be a tremendous burden on localities. So the only thing is, I think there's some indirect ways that we can make sure that we're putting our message out there, doing it in different ways beyond just the website. So I support where you're at. I appreciate the colleagues' sentiments, and you know, I think we got to continue to have this discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate your feedback. Dave, unless you have anything to add, I'm going to ask our CCBAC representative to come forward and provide their perspective from that Citizens Advisory Council. Thank you, sir.
Forward, if you have one. I actually don't have any slides, so just. Commissioners, Mr. County Manager, thank you for the opportunity to speak today on behalf of the CCBAC. We appreciate the thoughtful work underway to address the projected fiscal year 2027 general fund shortfall and the difficult but necessary decisions that come with it. The CCBAC is supportive of the recommendation to pause the current capital improvement plan process and transition to a phased approach. This is prudent and responsible. This is a prudent and responsible step given the proposed shift of property tax revenue from the debt service funds to the general fund and its implications for long-term capital planning. Importantly, this approach does not halt progress. Projects already underway will continue, and those scheduled to begin in fiscal year 2027 can still move forward with appropriate checkpoints. This ensures continuity while giving the county flexibility to make informed, timely decisions. What this pause does provide is something equally critical: time. Time to reassess priorities, time to align capital investments with updated financial realities, and to incorporate policy direction from this board and the county leadership from the manager's office. It allows for a more deliberate evaluation of major considerations and how we approach land acquisition, how we balance financial and environmental goals, how we deliver health and human services, and how we weigh reinvestment in existing assets against new development. A rush process risks misalignment. A phased approach creates space for strategy. The CCBAC stands ready to partner with you in this effort. We will work to provide thoughtful input on community priorities and the long-term implications of these decisions so that when the updated plan is presented later this year, it reflects both the fiscal responsibility and the needs of the community residents. We encourage the board to support this approach as a measured and forward-looking path during a time of financial transition. Thank you for your leadership and consideration.
Thank you. I think that was pretty clear, but we have a couple questions.
No, I just want to say thank you for the work. I'm glad to hear you do endorse this. That would have further made me have that comfort level. So thank you for to the whole team for putting eyes on it, for the extra, input and distance from the issue to come to the same conclusion is important to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Townsend, hold on one second. Commissioner Townsend, another question.
I also want to thank you for the information and piggybacking off of what we've been asking as far as how we get information to the public. What role does the Citizens Capital Budget Advisory Committee? How do you all get information to the community and to the public so that you can do your job and then make recommendations to us as an advisory committee?
So the CCBAC members are selected, I believe, from each district and are intended to serve as a representative of sorts for the residents of that area. Beyond that, we obviously have conversations with folks that we know sort of around town, but there's no formal process.
So there's no cadence or formal process of getting the advice. So this is basically based on how many individuals there are on your committee. These are basically your opinions, not really the community at large. Because if you have representatives, then you would need to have regular conversations with that community in order to kind of get an understanding. I mean, you have your own expertise, but
if you're referring to sort of community outreach where they might go out for a night and have members of the community come and have discussions relating to the topics of the day, there's nothing like that. That's something we can explore in conjunction with the county board and the finance team. However, I don't know that that's currently part of our mandate. So if that's something you would like for us to do, obviously, just if our mandate is expanded, we'd be happy to do it.
I'm sorry, and I apologize. I didn't know exactly the mandate, but that's kind of like the implication. In addition to, I want to know how I still want to know the numbers of how we get mailers out. I mean, I understand that, for instance, for the tax information, we send that out with the tax bills, the homes program. But the critical repair, we got the information back, and Commissioner Leak had asked that question during the board retreat, and the first response was that we're still reviewing it. Well, you shouldn't be reviewing it. It should already be there. We should be able to give a response to that. So that's kind of where my question is. It's we can't fix it if we don't know the data. That's what Commissioner Griffin has been talking about. So, and I'm not talking about you specifically for that portion, but I want to, if you're going to be an advisory committee, then you have to let us know what the community feels, not just the representatives on your committee, correct?
If I may ask, do other committees have that sort of community outreach? I've never seen that in an advisory committee.
Yeah, I don't know if they do, but that's what the implication is when you say Citizens Capital Budget Advisory Committee.
Mr. Manager, you want to take that?
Well, I was just going to say, Mr. Chair, if these are your advisory committees. You know, they advise you, you all appoint them. And if you're looking for them to do something relative to some form of public engagement, I think you're going to have to make that clear in your charge to them, because currently that's not a responsibility that they carry out. They all operate differently, but based on how I'm hearing this conversation evolve, or at least some of the comments, if that's something you're asking them to consider beyond what their current role is, to meet with staff and advise them on information that they're presenting and sharing with them based on a certain subject matter, in this case, capital. Because as you know, a lot of times their background, they have expertise in those areas.
That's right.
So we lean on them to be that second set of eyes to advise us on policies and practices and issues that we're working through so that we can check the box and say, yes, we received some good feedback from the outside. Now, if you're asking them to go out and engage in whether it's the district or other parts of the community, that's your call, and you need to make that very clear, because I don't think that's an expectation that they have. I'm not saying it's a bad expectation, but if that's the direction you want them to go into, you need to give them that guidance. The other thing I would say is, you all know we have a very robust public engagement process. You're going to be briefed on that at the April 7th meeting. It was originally scheduled for today, but again, we pulled it off to make sure that we have time to cover these two topics as well. That information that we receive, yes, we go out, we survey the public, we receive their information, we present it to you, we're going to do it on April 7th. That process has been in place for some time, and it does have an influence on the budget decision that we make moving forward. So that information will be forthcoming, just like it has in the past.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead, Commissioner Dunlap.
Well,
I'm coming to you
I hope
next.
we don't go down this road, because I'm concerned about what I'm hearing. We have, for a long time, relied on our advisory committees to be the voice of the public, just as we are the voice of the public when it comes to county commission decisions. We don't go out and engage with the whole community and then come in here and say, well, this is what I heard, because we all hear something different. But I think you may not like what they say, but we have to respect their voice, being the experts that they are, and we appoint them. And we don't like who we appoint, then we have the right to appoint someone else. But we don't have the right to say, your voice does not represent the community. We don't have that right. That's exactly why they're appointed.
Thank you. Commissioner Powell.
Thank you.
Sure.
So I've been on lots of advisory boards. And
25.
and Dumont, Clark, and Bill James, I think, started out on CCBAC. And if I want you to hear from anyone, it's really the capital budget experts. Thank you for your service. Thank you for breathing life back into this advisory board. It kind of fell apart in COVID, so I appreciate your effort. And my question to you is, while you're on board with it, you're on board with this recommendation, do you have any concerns? Or does the CCBAC have any concerns?
I'm not prepared to speak on behalf of the entire group as it relates to any specific concerns. Personally, I have some reservations about land acquisition, similar to what Commissioner Meyer stated earlier. But I see both sides of it. On one hand, by acquiring property, you're potentially taking it out of the tax roll, which is potentially could potentially create further imbalances. On the other hand, if we wait, that land might not be available, or the price might be significantly more expensive than it is today or at the time that we would make that acquisition. That's not a position that I don't know that the committee is really in a position to opine on that as we stand today. But we do recognize, at least I think all of us recognize it as an issue, but we don't have the information to really vet it one way or the other at this moment in time.
Thank you for that. And I'll just tell you, after 37 years of experience, that if we don't get the land, it won't be there. And and our natural resources will not be protected, and Mecklenburg County will deteriorate. And so I appreciate that, and thank you for your concerns. We are all here, like if you ever want to have a conversation, we're all here, and I appreciate your work. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Leek had something, then Commissioner Meyer had something.
I just want to make it very clear as it relates to my responsibility as a county commissioner, and I keep saying that, what is our role? So we'll know where we are. And recommendation from committees that we appoint, we digest that information and make it fluid as representing the people. You got to get back to the people, not you personally. And that wasn't what I was talking about. My thing is making sure that my constituents understand what we're doing and why we're doing it. It's not your responsibility, it's my responsibility as the elected official. That's what we tell the people, elect me, so that I can dispense and help to alleviate some of the problems, because the language a lot of times is not even clear to members of this board. Because this board, some boards operate differently, but we need to know what our job is and our place is as county commissioners. So thank you for what you do, and we shall move forward from it. But my statement was dealing specifically with making sure that our seniors understand the language, not dictating to you change any means, but making sure that we understand what our responsibility is, holding us accountable, because we're holding, the public is holding us accountable for dispensing and dealing with the funds that we get. We can't spend it any kind of way. There's a given, am I right? Mr. Chairman? Yes, thank you. We cannot spend it any kind of way. We can't put a card out there and say, I'm spending it for the county, when you spend it for your individual self.
Commissioner Meyer.
Thank you. I just want to take this time to say thank you for your work. Thank you for your whole team. Thank you for being here. I've gotten to know Tom in the last year or two, and I know how seriously you guys take it, and so thank you. I agree with what Commissioner Dunlap said. I won't repeat it. And I also want to address about the land. It might not be there. It will not be there. We will not have that opportunity again. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have to stop the growth.
We're going to allow for Commissioner Townsend a 60-second follow-up.
Just to clarify again, I want to thank all of our advisory boards. It's volunteer. Totally appreciate the work that you do. My asking questions is simply to get us to think differently, because we can't continue to do them the way we've always done things. This is a different time. So based on the question, for instance, that Commissioner Griffin asked, do you have someone that has some expertise on capital improvements within the Beatties Ford Road corridor or District 2 or what he was talking about? And this is rhetorical. What I'm asking is, does the board, the 7 members of the board, do you understand? Because we're telling the community that we're making decisions based on a lens of equity. Well, if you don't have the same lens that I have, and I'm not saying that everybody should, but I'm saying we need representation and you need to understand. Maybe you don't have to live there, but do you understand what it is that is the needs of Beatties Ford Road versus District 6 or somewhere else?
So
that's my question.
So I guess I would respond to that in 2 parts. One is, I can't speak specifically to whether anyone on our committee is from the Beatties Ford Road area, but in terms of like whether someone's from that district, I'm sure we can pull that up. And my understanding is that the CCBAC is populated, and part of the intentionality behind it is to make sure that you have different people from different areas of the county to ensure that there's appropriate perspectives. So if there's someone from that area, from that district, they'll be able to speak to that more intelligently, or with a lens that sort of brings to bear sort of the realities of the Beatties Ford Road area. But as it also relates as to equity, I believe it was 2 years ago, maybe 3, The CCBAC actually made a comment regarding the county's the finance team's recommendations from an equity lens. We had noticed that it did appear that a lot more that there were more parks in sort of the wealthier gentrifying areas that were being funded, as opposed to the areas that were weren't experiencing that level of sort of economic transition. And we commented on that, and I remember there was a vibrant discussion within the board about that at the time. So I do want to emphasize that it is a major factor that we look at in evaluating the county's capital projects.
Let me let Tom say something. Come to the microphone for us, please.
So, I think she is.
Just come up front, please.
Tom Harris, and I'm on the board, and I do not live in Beatty's Ward. I don't want to pretend like I do live on Beatty's Ward, but I am there a lot. In fact, I was there this morning, so I'm there about 1 or 2 days a week delivering food, picking up trash, or whatever. And I will say that while I don't live there, I certainly understand what is going on there in many ways. And being out from outside that district, I understand what some of the problems are. I don't have the solutions like a lot of you. Commissioner Gerald said something. There's research to be done, but for me personally, I know that I kind of understand the needs there by being up there so often. That's all I wanted to say.
No, and I appreciate it. Yeah, let me come to Commissioner Griffin, and we're going to wrap this up.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for your service. I go back to the 80s and early 90s, and you've provided a phenomenal service to this community. And I wanted to say thank you. I know you're getting a lot of questions, but I wanted to be able to do that as a member of the school board and former chair of the school board. CCBAC has been out there doing the work. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
No, thank you, Commissioner. And
I was just saying thank you.
Got you. So I definitely want to echo my sentiments and thanks. And to Commissioner Townsend Ingram, just my understanding since I've been on the board is that we are supposed to have district representation, particularly on this board. And while people don't come from a specific corridor, but they certainly should be adding that. And we can always, too, provide that insight. Again, it's our advisory board, and I think your questions are, I'm glad you raised them. And I think when I first got on the board, too, I think this group was really hazy to me, personally. And as I got more information, I was able to really understand the value that they were bringing, because to the when you talked about a few years ago with respect to the recommendations that you made, it was reflective of the values of the board at that time. And I found them to do that, to be able to come and say, hey, this is our perspective, but it's always been respectful, it's always been professional, and I think that's exactly what we want from our advisory board. So I just say that to say thank you very much, and the entire team.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mattress, and the entire CCBAC group. Really appreciate your service to Mecklenburg County, and also want to thank David and his team for the first update. The next item on your agenda is also a follow-up from your budget retreat back in January. You recall, relative to an environmental leadership update that you received, the collective board provided staff a lot of feedback for consideration. Well, today we're going to provide you an update on where we are with regards to that feedback, and present to you some options for consideration. Dr. Leslie Johnson is going to tee up this presentation, then she'll introduce the other speakers that will follow behind her. And following that presentation, just like the first one, we're going to look for feedback from you. So with that, Mr. Chair, I ask that you recognize Dr. Johnson.
Dr. Johnson is recognized.
Good afternoon. I hope everyone is well. As you may remember, at the Board of County Commissioners annual budget retreat, there was a presentation on the county's progress to date on the Environmental Leadership Action Plan. The team also shared the challenges and complexities of accomplishing the goals, presented potential strategies for addressing some of the barriers, and posed a few policy questions for your consideration. The policy discussions focused on net zero carbon, parkland acquisition, sustainable funding models, and SMART goals. Today, I, along with my colleagues Mark Hahn, Director of Asset and Facility Management, and Nick Walker, Director of Park and Recreation, will provide an update of our plans for moving forward that are the strategies and actions to include next steps aligned to net zero carbon and parkland acquisition. And while not presenting today, I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge Aaron Stanforth, our Sustainability and Resiliency Manager, who is a valuable contributor in all that we have put together and present to you. Now, updates on the sustainable funding models for air quality, solid waste, and stormwater will be shared with you in a couple weeks when you receive a presentation on the proposed FY27 fees. Lastly, I will note that this presentation is part one of potentially two highlights. We plan to evaluate the feasibility of achieving the long-term environmental goals and setting SMART goals, that's measures and targets, taking into account financial projections of revenue, estimated costs, market conditions, impact, competing needs, and other considerations. As you see at the retreat, we posed 3 questions regarding net zero carbon. The first question asked about your willingness to reset the target or timelines for achieving net zero carbon. And as noted, there was an openness for resetting the target, yet with an interest in maintaining the aspirational goal. The second question was on your openness in purchasing renewable credits. Again, there is collective support to pursue RECs if there is local and/or regional benefits. The third question was about participation in Duke Energy's Green Source Advantage Express program, and there was support. So I'll now highlight our strategies and actions as we proceed into FY27 as it relates to net zero carbon. Our current aspirational goal for the county to achieve net zero carbon, or stated differently, emissions reductions from our facilities and fleet by 2035 remains our stretched goal. However, as previously noted, we will be evaluating what is realistic to achieve and set targets accordingly. It is also important to note that although we have a documented list of buildings that could benefit from energy efficiencies, the county will only proceed with those that yield a positive return on investment. In addition, our deep energy retrofit projects, for example, HVACs, air conditions and heating units, and electrical vehicles purchases are aligned to equipment and vehicles that reach their useful life. We do not replace those unless they are needed to be replaced. I also will share that currently the cost for some of our EVs are actually less than our gas-powered options. And as you are aware, the Board of County Commissioners recently approved the county proceeding with participating in Duke Energy's Green Source Advantage Express program. There were questions also presented around land acquisition. In short, there was general openness for us to explore new land acquisition strategies, as well as to proactively collaborate with our partners and explore non-traditional site development opportunities. So how are we going to proceed as we move into FY27? We will continue to use MEC Playbook as a way to master our master plan to guide land acquisition for improving access to parks, open space, greenways, and recreational amenities, as well as preserving our natural resources. And we will continue to explore joint venture land acquisitions and collaborative site planning opportunities with our partners. Now that I've shared our broad strategies and actions for moving forward, I'll turn the presentation over to Mark and Nick, who will provide more specifics to include our next steps for FY27.
Thank you, Leslie. I'm now going to drill down a little more detail about the projects that Asset and Facility Management Department will be working on in FY27 as related to these Environmental Leadership Action Plan projects. So we have 5 projects in particular that I'm going to talk about. These have already been funded previously, or at least partially funded, in the FY27 Capital Improvement Plan. David Boyd talked about this a little bit earlier. So they were previously approved, or they were scheduled to begin work in 27. Some of them design has already started, and then we need some additional funding in some cases. For the projects, these are the ones in blue, are all deep energy retrofits. And then one of the projects is for the installation of solar panels. That's in the sort of tan orange color there. The total of all the projects combined, you can see in the blue row at the right-hand side, is about $11.58 million. I've mentioned before how the majority of the cost of deep energy retrofit projects is for the replacement of equipment, and how that it has reached the end of its life cycle and it must be replaced. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in relation to these projects in the blue rows. Looking at the 4 deep energy retrofit projects, their total cost is about $10.6 million. And then of that amount, $9.97 million is attributable to that replacement cost that I was talking about at 94% of the total, while $634,000 is attributable specifically to energy efficiency measures, and that's coming in at 6% of the total cost. That's actually a good bit lower for these particular 4 projects than as usual. I've talked before how normally it's around 15 or 20% for energy efficiency. Just so happens in these particular projects, more of it's about replacement, less about energy efficiency. When you look at payback or considering payback, the energy efficiency measures for these retrofits have an average payback period of about 11 years compared to an equipment life of around 23 years. So consequently, these retrofits will produce savings after the payback point for the remaining life of the equipment, or around another 12 additional years that they'll save money after they've been paid off. The other project, the solar project in orange tan there, has a total cost of $977,000 and is, of course, all of energy efficiency related, nothing being replaced, it's brand new. It has a payback period of approximately 17 years and will produce savings thereafter for the remaining life of the panels, which is about 30 years. Our approach to all of these projects in 27 is actually to proceed no further than the design phase and limiting the spending to smaller amounts. There will be this internal review that Leslie talked about of environmental goals that would be completed this summer, and then we'll know whether to proceed with the higher cost of construction based on those goals. Just as an example, if we all decided let's not do deep energy retrofit projects anymore, we wouldn't want to do construction on one. Hope that makes sense. Now I'm going to pivot to our FY27 approach for the transition to electric vehicles. This slide shows the current state and future state counts or totals of electric vehicles and charging stations up to the year 2035. The current state chart on the left shows the count of electric vehicles that have been purchased previously, as well as those ordered in FY26. So you can see in the green row there's a total count of 228 vehicles to date or to the end of this fiscal year. That represents about 21.4% of the county fleet for which there are viable electrical alternatives. These numbers are expected to ramp up over the next several years with a higher number of existing gas-powered vehicles needing replacement due to age and mileage, so that has to be looked at as well as we go forward. The current state chart also shows the electrical vehicle charging stations that have been installed previously or are being installed in FY26, the current fiscal year. We currently have 172 charging stations online, with an additional 60 of them being installed this fiscal year, for a total of 232 by the end of FY26. When we started this initiative a few years ago, we were installing one charging station for each vehicle purchased. Since then, we have transitioned to a ratio of one charging station installed for every 2 electric vehicles being purchased, resulting in fewer charging stations needed overall. The future state chart on the top right shows both the electrical vehicle and charging station counts planned over the next 9 years. You can see in the green row at the bottom of the chart that we are planning to purchase a total of 1,066 electric vehicles and installing 496 charging stations by the end of the year 2035. For fiscal year 27, that's highlighted at the top of the chart on the right, we're proposing to purchase an additional 71 electric vehicles at an estimated cost of $2.48 million, install an additional 40 charging stations, although these were previously funded in FY26. And then we're also requesting $2.447 million in FY27 for an additional 48 charging stations. Those wouldn't be installed until FY28. So now I'll discuss next steps. In FY27, again, we talked about an internal view will be conducted to evaluate the feasibility of achieving our long-term environmental leadership goals and develop a corresponding plan with recommendations. In the interim, I mentioned this before, only design work will occur on previously approved energy efficiency projects, and construction will be deferred until decisions are made around long-term environmental goals, essentially putting off those higher costs until the long-term plan is confirmed. The current 5-year capital improvement plan, David Boyd talked about that earlier, is also being reviewed and updated around the same time, and so that information will play into this in terms of funding availability as well. New energy efficiency projects requested, in 27 and 31, that's sort of beyond the outer years, of course, will be deferred until that new 5-year CIP plan is approved. And then SMART goals with achievable long-term targets will be set based on the outcome of this internal review this summer and funding appropriated for the deep energy retrofits, solar panel installations, purchase of electric vehicles, and deployment of EV chargers. And now I'm going to turn it over to Nick Walker to discuss parkland acquisition.
All right. So taking a look at conversations that we had at the fall board retreat, one thing we wanted to emphasize was the strategy that is currently used for land acquisition. And so one of the tricky parts is that Tier 1 and Tier 2 encompass a lot of the same things. At the end of the day, we, in 2020, when we undertook the MEC playbook, we categorized the county based upon gap areas and priority communities. Gap areas are defined as areas where access to a park does not exist within a 10-minute walk. Likewise, and that is for either county-owned or municipal parks. And then likewise, priority communities are areas of the county where 2 or more of the following factors overlap, and that's areas of the county with above average youth and senior populations, people of color, residents experiencing poverty, residents who rent rather than own property, and residents with limited access to cars. So essentially the way to think of it is that where these 2 areas overlap are our Tier 1 or ideal purchases. And so anything that falls into a gap area or a priority community without overlapping with the other is our Tier 2. And so those are really the 3 areas that we focus as a land acquisition team on. And again, it's a collaborative effort between Park and AFM's real estate team. We meet internally every 2 weeks. We have a coordinated call with AFM the off week every 2 weeks. And then we have a larger meeting once a quarter with legal as well to take a look at all of the process in order to finalize the land acquisition, make sure that the proper restrictions are put on that property, et cetera. What else do we purchase, which is Tier 3? And again, there's a lot more complexity to this, but just in broad strokes, is it close to another park property? And that is for 2 reasons. One, we want to ensure that there are buffers either between the commercial or residential properties that we abut, or it allows us, we have a 50-50 policy as it relates to active or developed parks, and that is we will only develop 50% of the property. A great example of this is in the town of Cornelius. Baylor Road Park is a very active recreation location with a lot of ball fields, but it's about 50% developed. And so if we were to add athletic fields to that facility, we would need to purchase land around it in order to be able to stay within our guidelines and meet some of our ecological environmental restrictions. Then additionally, greenway access, either easements or parcels which allow connections into neighborhoods or for us to finish out stretches of a greenway. And then other needs, nature preserves or other properties where the purchase would allow us to protect vital ecosystems, biodiversity, or water supply, sites large enough for recreational purchases, centers, athletic fields, et cetera. And then lastly, when we talk about ways that we're looking at things from a different set of eyes, is those partnerships, specifically with CMS, libraries, CPCC, or the newly formed Office of Housing and Community Development, where a parcel may not have been identified as a great parcel for park and recreation, but if there are other partner uses and we can find a way to co-develop that and accomplish multiple goals, that's going to be an important thing for us going forward, both from a cost and site development and land acquisition. And that's really what we're talking about when we're talking about alternative approaches. I believe that the manager has said this before, we can no longer be all things to all people. And so we're really going to have to lean on the partnerships with the towns or the city or CMS in order to find ways to both acquire and develop land. Additionally, we spoke earlier, I just spoke, not we, about partnering with CMS, CPCC, CRCs, libraries. Again, just things that traditionally we haven't viewed it through that lens or haven't had to view it through that lens, but for the purposes of us all advancing and being better together, continuing to use Manager Bryant's terms, that allows us to, again, accomplish some goals for multiple parties. And then you start talking about really just things we haven't done. The creation of a developer package. And not to go too far down the rabbit hole, but right now in the rezoning process, there are incentives that developers can get in order for having set-asides or easements or connections. But there are not really mechanisms because of the fact that impact fees are banned in the state of North Carolina for you to require these things. And so finding a way to incentivize them by creating a developer package that shows the ways that parks could be developed as a part of the rezoning and the development of that property and then utilized by the county. Recreational easements. And it's funny because when we were having this conversation with the BET, I was asked, do these exist now? And truthfully, they do. The one example that I can think of off the top of my head is where we currently have an easement or a lease on Charlotte water property that we then in turn lease over to our partners with Carolina Trailblazers in order to use for trails. Airways Park is that. We're talking about things like that where, again, land acquisition may be difficult from a dollar and upfront cost perspective, but if we can work with partners that have available land in the areas that we need, can we find a way to have a long-term recreational lease on those properties? And then lastly, the most expensive of the three options, but something that we are going to have to start doing or thinking about doing, is undeveloping property. Purchasing property that already has something on it, getting rid of the impervious and restoring it. It is by far the most cost ineffective but ultimately ecologically effective strategy that we can take, and we will have to start thinking about that, particularly in the urban core. And again, what are we going to do in terms of this evaluation process? I believe that an internal financial analysis to take a look at the long-term strategies for land acquisition, but in the interim, following the current strategy, which is currently aligned with the MEC playbook, following our guiding star, our North Star, our guiding principles, to make sure that what we are purchasing is the best for the residents of Mecklenburg County. And again, truthfully, I can tell you, that is what we've been doing with the increase in dollars. It's just going to become harder and harder, but that doesn't mean that we should waver from our principles. And then lastly, making sure that there are SMART goals aligned with that, so that not only are we purchasing it, but we have a clear plan for when and how we are going to develop that site. And that's it.
All right, thank you. I'll open it up. There were some policy questions that you needed us to react to as well, correct? Let me start with Commissioner Powell, and then I'll go to Commissioner Griffin.
All right, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to get it all out. So thank you for the review. I think I have a question for Mark Hahn real quick. Do any of the buildings where you're just doing design, do they have, is it urgent that they need a retrofit, like any kind of new HVAC or anything? You can answer when I'm done getting it all out. And so, because I think this is a good strategy, and same for the electric vehicles. It's a good strategy in the middle of this budget. I just want everyone to remember, when we're talking about land acquisition, it's not just for Park and Rec. A significant part of it is, but another part of it is protecting natural resources. And so while there are tiers here and you have to have a plan, we have to be nimble. And on page 13, where it's talking about other needs, we have to have those in the top of our mind, because this is environmental leadership. It's not just Park and Rec. Park and Rec bears the burden of protecting natural resources, Park and Rec and stormwater. But we have to have the mindfulness as leaders for the future of protecting all the things here, ecosystems, biodiversity, and especially, like on top of that, water supply. And so while Mark is talking about, the deep energy retrofits, in my mind, they're really expensive, but the more energy we save, the more water capacity we save. They are directly related. And other needs. Another need is we have to be nimble. You have to have a plan of how to do it, but you also have to have a plan of what if something becomes available that could be potentially something really great, especially with the exploding population. What if this farm becomes available? That's another thing, farmland preservation. That's another priority of environmental leadership that wasn't mentioned by Park and Rec. These are all parts of land acquisition that we have to consider. The land, North Carolina is number 2 in loss of farmland. Most of the farms left are in District 1 and District 6. There might be a little bit down in part of yours, Commissioner Jarrell. And let me see what else. All right. I showed you guys all the maps of impervious. It's getting worse every day. Almost a quarter of the county is paved. Water capacity is a big concern. It's risky business to rely on interbasin transfers. The Catawba River is going to have a rough time with the population projections. So I think we have to have it's good to have other needs, but we have to have more strategies here. And we need to be nimble, and we have to be more bold in our asks, especially in pre-development. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Commissioner Pell. I did not catch all of your first question. Can you repeat that?
So on the page where you have all the deep energy retrofits, page 8, are any of these facilities in need of new systems right now?
So they are, and yeah, these are near or at the end of the life cycle for the equipment, so that's why they're on the list and being done.
And so you're just going to do design now?
Correct.
In the pause?
That's correct, yeah.
That's your proposal?
Correct.
Okay. Until they call us sweating?
Pardon?
Until the employees start calling us because they're sweating to death?
No, I don't think they're going to fail. We still can maintain them, but after a while that gets more and more expensive. Parts may not be available, that kind of thing. So they will be maintained, but they're near the end of life where they're going to have more and more failures if we didn't do anything. Regardless of what happens with energy efficiency, in some way, the funding for the replacement will have to go on. So it's really the energy efficiency portions of these that we'd be really discussing. What's the strategy for that? Do you go forward? Do you back off? Do you set different goals, change those, that kind of thing?
Thank you.
Commissioner Griffin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mark, I don't know a whole lot about this energy stuff over here, but it certainly looks good, sounds good. Are there any disadvantages, one? And two, the chairman reminded me when he was talking about workforce development stuff on another issue. Do we outsource the maintenance of our electric vehicles, or do we have our own maintenance fleet? I should know that too.
So the maintenance of county vehicles has been done or performed by the city of Charlotte under an interlocal agreement for quite a number of years now. I think it was, I can't remember the exact date, but probably a good 15 years or more. After about 5-6 years of doing that, we actually put it out for a bid to the private sector and the city to see how they would compete, and they won hands down, so we continued with that.
I asked that because in terms of workforce development, training folk to work on electric vehicles, in terms of finding, thinking outside of the box for apprenticeships or justice-involved individuals to develop that skill, then they can go over to Hendricks and other places, Tesla, to work on some vehicles. But that was my only question, is about the workforce development. For Nick, on yours, how long have we had the definitions, or are there expanded language for the definitions for priority communities? Like people of color. I mean, is there like...
It's all based upon census data. So it's census block data.
What I'm saying is, like less than the county average for people of color, greater than the county's average for people of color, or if you had,
I believe that it's
one person in that census tract?
I believe that it's based upon the MSA, and then that it is a higher proportion than the MSA, which is the metropolitan area. So that's very similar to the 157 people a day that are moving to the Charlotte area.
Yeah.
The Charlotte area is what is used as the baseline. And so within Mecklenburg County, things that are at a higher percentage in at least 2 or more of those categories.
If it's in the MEC book, I'll look at it. If it's not in the MEC book, if you can like get me the definitions of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 a little bit more so.
Certainly. And it's based off of 2020 when the work was done. Those, both the priority communities, gap areas, and then all of it will be reevaluated based upon 2024 or 2026, whichever the most recent update to the census data is in our MEC playbook refresh.
I think
so those areas will change.
Yeah, it comes out in September.
Yep.
But if I can get those definitions, the old ones, that'd be great. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. Commissioner Meyer, then Dunlap.
Thank you very much. I'm going to take Commissioner Powell's advice that she just said a minute ago. She said, we need to be bold in our ask and we need to be nimble. And on page 14, we're talking about joint ventures, and this is under land acquisition. City, town, or CMS participation in land acquisition and development, partnering with these in land acquisition. And I'm just thinking of Tyvola Road, 1600 Tyvola Road, Smith Middle would be, and I know I've already gotten my answer from you guys, but would be such a perfect place to have a ball field or a park, because it is a block or 2 away from South Boulevard, which becomes District 2, which is a need. District 2 is a need. It just seems to me that it's checking off boxes, and it's a perfect place, because if you stand between Smith Middle, what used to be Smith Middle, and the new school, you could practically touch. So having to divide that property and put up whatever might go up there, apartments or who knows what might go up there, it just seems that it would make much more sense to build a park. And that's a situation where it's a bold ask, and it would be a nimble move, as Commissioner Powell puts it. But I just want to put in a public plug in for that, because, and I know you know, and I know you've heard from me, and I know all of this group right here has heard from parents. But it's just something I just want to put out there. Thank you for your presentation.
Commissioner Dunlap.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I remember when we first approved the net zero carbon strategy and action. I asked the question then, and I'm going to ask again. When we approved that, I thought the the 2035 goal was extremely ambitious. And now, given the situation that we're in financially, I think it becomes more ambitious, which is why I would support expanding the time period in which to accomplish those goals. And during this pause period, I think we ought to start reevaluating some other things as well. For example, as a part of our park and recreation goal, we want to have a park within a 10-minute walk of every neighborhood.
Can't do it.
You're absolutely right. You can't do that. I said it was unrealistic when we approved it. It's still unrealistic, and it's probably even more unrealistic today. And so I think when we have people believing that, we set them up to believe that we're not doing what we said we're going to do. So during this period, I hope you would take a second look at that, because I tell you, it takes me an hour to walk into my development. So I know what I have to do in 10 minutes, and that ain't realistic. And the other thing, when we start looking at the charging stations for the number of cars we have, guys, we can only charge one car at one station at one time. But we can charge cars throughout the day. So we don't have to have as many charging stations based on the number of cars we have. So I just think we should really take the opportunity to think about all of those things that impact the amount of dollars that we're spending. If we're serious about looking at our expenditures, I think it's a perfect opportunity to look at everything. And if it takes more than 6 months, 8 months, that's fine. But at least we're still moving in the right direction. Thank you.
All right, I'll come back to you, Commissioner. Let me get everybody else first, and then I'll come back. Let me go to Commissioner Leek, then Commissioner Townsend Ingram.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your presentation. My concern is, what is cheaper, electric cars or gas cars per gallon?
So right now, the Chevy Equinox is actually about $1,500 less as an electric vehicle than if you buy the gas-powered version. And that's the vehicle that we're buying the most right now.
And the cost to repair them?
We don't have as much information on that because they're all so new. Right now, I could say they're quite a bit less to repair because they're brand new. They don't have as many engine parts, that kind of thing. So we think they will be less, but I want to withhold. I don't have data on that yet, so I don't really want to say, but we'll have more as time goes on.
And my last question deals with junkyards in given communities. And we're talking about clean air and living within the confines of breathing well. Look at the weather now, you know, what we're having on our cars. How many junkyards have been vetted to be in my community, in District 2? Then that's where they are. And we're smelling those fumes, gas, rubber, all of those. And I've talked about it since I've been on this board. And I have yet to receive an answer, not from you, but from those who talk about clean air, given Mecklenburg County, and we are part of the county. When do we start looking at those? If we possibly can.
We'll have to get that information researched, the number of junkyards that we have in your district as well as the county whole. We don't have that on hand at this time. Happy to do that.
But I hope you understand exactly what I'm talking about.
I do.
You drive
We've had
down.
conversations about that. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, South Boulevard. You go down Statesville Avenue. You go all over District 2, you find junkyards everywhere, but not in Myers Park or in Ballantyne.
Thank you. Let me go back to Commissioner Powell.
Thank you. And I just want to say I respect what Commissioner Dunlap was asking, because when we developed the Environmental Leadership Action Plan, we took everyone's input. We took multiple advisory bodies, we took citizen, we took nonprofits, we took everyone's input, And again, we got a lot of heat that we weren't ambitious enough, and we were trying to be authentic and realistic. We wanted to say, well, we can't do that by 2030. So we thought, okay, we have this ambitious goal, like we think we can do it by 2035. It did not work out that way. And so I think we need to go back. We left it as kind of a fluid plan. I think we need to go back to our advisory bodies, show them the information, listen to their input, and come up with, version 2. But I just want to, like, when we voted on it, it was unanimous because we were listening to everyone in the public and to all of our advisory bodies, and we were trying to be realistically ambitious. But also, we don't want to rely on renewable energy credits either. Like, we're trying to be honest about how we do it. We want to make an authentic difference versus putting it off on somebody else, on some renewable energy credit off in Wyoming somewhere. And so I just feel like it was a really honest, ambitious attempt, and the funding required is just so massive. And so you have to figure out how to do it in order. Thank you.
I supported it then, too.
I know. I just wanted to say that because I think it's important. Thank you.
So Commissioner Townsend Ingram, give me 1 second. Did you want to add?
Oh, no, I'm done.
Okay. Let me go to Commissioner Townsend Ingram, then Commissioner Altman.
I just want to highlight that she said that y'all went to, when you had the advisories, you did multiple. That's the point I was trying to make in the other thing. But anyway, I just had one question, actually, and it was actually brought up already by Commissioner Meyer, but I don't know what the disposition was of whether it's the Smith family on Tyvola Road. Is that owned by us? Is it a joint venture with CMS, or are we going to bulldoze it? What's the disposition with that thing?
It's a CMS-owned property. They developed the new school behind the old school, and it is, I think the manager can take it from there, but I believe it is something that is being discussed as a surplus property by CMS.
The property
That's what my question was. Is that an example of a surplus? Okay, thank you.
It is, and there are discussions, Commissioner YTI, regarding the future of that property. We recognize that you all received a lot of emails about inappropriate behavior going on over there. The superintendent and I have had extensive conversations on how to respond, and my hope is that we'll be bringing something forward in the near future about that project.
Is it environmentally safe? I don't know. I think that was the other question.
That has been questioned. I'm not sure whether or not it is, but I've heard the same concerns that you have also. I think that's valid.
Thank you.
Commissioner Altman.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Can you confirm the specific question you were wanting to get feedback on? If there was.
Just the overall reaction to us taking some time, similar to the initial project, and I don't know if the guys can go back to the slide that Dr. Johnson teed up, but to take a look at create SMART goals, take a look at targets as well as reassess some of the other things that were called out earlier on the slide. And yes, you provided the feedback that we're seeking. But we just need some time rather than making some immediate action and not assessing what the impact will be, but also try to stay in alignment with advisory committees that had advised you when you first put this plan in place. We want to be considerate of that also. But the whole point of bringing this forward, along with the other presentation, was to get your feedback in terms of what your interests are as we consider these assessments moving forward, so we can be mindful of what we've heard from the board.
Yeah. So I think I am where I was at our retreat, which is, in a perfect world, I would want to fund all of this to the hilt. I, for example, would love to have solar panels on my house, but I don't because they're expensive. And maybe that's penny wise and pound foolish on my part. Maybe they would pay for themselves in due course. I don't think so. But anyway, I am focused once again on the communities. I think they really rely upon our green spaces for health and mental health and in transit and a bunch of other things. And so, I'm going to be leaning more towards continuing to maintain and further our greenway, our park access before other things, if I had to rank, recognizing it's all good, it's all important. And I just want to thank, ambitious, what did you say? Ambitious, honest, but what did you say? Bold. It was, yeah, I I just want to say, like, there's no shame in trying to do a lot of good. And if we can't reach it all and we have to retool, there's no shame in that game, if the money just isn't adequate to go the full measure. So I'm proud of what my predecessors on this board did in this regard.
Yeah, these are some tough decisions. You got the environmental factor that Commissioner YTI pointed out. You got the return on investment. When we look at some of these energy saving projects, how long will it take for us to realize those savings? And then, you got to consider that in terms of what the overall cost is as well. So there's a lot of factors that go into play, of course, in addition to the feedback that we're receiving from you this afternoon.
So let me say thank you for the presentation. A little bit of feedback from my perspective. I want to start with the SMART goals. I think it certainly makes sense. I just hope this board will be patient because this is something that we've asked for, and it's just not an easy process to bake this particular case as it relates to metrics, goals, targets. It is taking feedback from 9 members of this board that have varying differences, opinions, and we're trying to figure out what are the correct metrics. And so I'm just going to ask us, not just as it relates to this, but as we're creating the scorecard and other things, for us to recognize that that is a painful and slow process that you cannot wave a magic wand and get it right overnight. And so I think we all support it, but I think we need to support it patiently. And I know that there's been angst and frustration as we have gone over dashboards and performance metrics and things of that nature, but I just feel compelled to put that out there. 2, I want to go to the top, the net zero carbon. I think we have to be realistic. Not going to hit the goal. No one is doing cartwheels around that, but the reality is we're not going to hit it. I think what would be my suggestion would be for us to make sure that we clearly articulate in Habit Inc. somewhere why and what it would take. If we wanted to hit it by 2030, it would take $20 billion or whatever it is and da-da-da, right? So people know the county doesn't have that, right? Here are the limitations, or here the technology is not available. But just resetting the target or changing it without the context or something like that, to me, I just don't think that that's helpful. I think we should be very clear on the why, and if we could hit it or we're going to hit it, it would take X, Y, and Z, which we may not have. So that's sort of my thought process on that. Did you want to say something about that? Well, go ahead, because I may want to respond to you. No? Okay. You sure? Okay. No, I wanted to give you the opportunity. The parkland acquisition, I'm going to say the main piece of that I honed in on was this idea of repurposing existing sites. I mean, the availability of open land and available land is diminishing by the day, by the second. We're going to have to say we're going to purchase when North Lake Mall was available, right? Maybe we could have, something like that. We might have to grab an asset like that and, to your point, Nick, demolish it and make it a park or repurpose it in a way that it creates whatever we want to repurpose it for. That is one of the strategies that I'm in favor. I mean, I'm in favor of all of the land acquisition and what you put up. But certainly when you think about in my district in South End, it's impossible for us to find open available space in South End. It's not going to happen. We're like fooling ourselves. And if those people are screaming for a park, we're going to have to take something and purchase it and use it for the purposes of to build a park or whatever, right? I mean, that's just what it is. So I say all that just to say that I appreciate the way that we are rethinking the way that we are getting options as a board. And I think no one can say that staff isn't working very diligently to provide different options, different strategies, and different approaches to the same problems that we've been trying to tackle for quite some time. So I do want to say thank you. And Mr. Manager, again, I do want to say that was one thing that you did say to us, and I think we're delivering. I think there's certainly difficult questions, and this board should continue to challenge, and staff, you should continue to push back and leverage your expertise so that we can find that happy medium and that right sweet spot to get the right outcomes. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Mark, Dr. Johnson. Mr. Chair, that concludes my report for today, the items on the agenda. Appreciate all of your feedback. We certainly will take that into consideration as we move forward.
Thank you for that. Last item on the agenda is going to be Commissioner reports. Who has a report? Let me start with Commissioner Powell.
Okay, it is like a tidal wave of information to take in, especially for me, like this. This is my core value. So I just want to make sure, as we're talking about a pause for CIP, because we have, I forget the number, it's higher than 10 million. I'm not voting on, like, I will not vote for a pause in land acquisition.
We're not asking you to do that.
Okay, I'm making sure, because I'm not going to vote on a pause on that. The urgency is real, and so I do understand that we can't meet our goals on some things, but we can't give up on that goal. And Chairman Jarrell's right. You know, we dug up Romare Bearden. That was paved. And we're going to have to dig up more in your district and in Commissioner Meyer's district, because there's so much pink on the map, impervious, and we won't have another choice. That is way more expensive than buying the land, but it's, you know, it's the only option in some areas. So I know I have 100 other things to say that are so important, but I really hope, I pray that some media was tuned in today and will ask for the slide on the void in state funding, because voters do not know this. And so we all pay our taxes in Mecklenburg County. We expect the state to send some back to us, and it's not coming back. So we're getting taxed again. And voters need to know that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to say thanks again to staff for the pause. I think it's so important to give to give much more thought to what we're doing in the future. So thank you for that. And I can't help but see the parallel between what we're doing and the I-77 toll lanes that are being from what I keep hearing, they're going to happen no matter what, because it was a plan that was made in 2015. But what they should have done is they should have evaluated every so many years, because toll lanes don't work. And what we're doing at the county level is we're seeing what's working and what's not working, and we have the ability and the desire to change if we need to. And so I just really appreciate the staff hitting pause.
Commissioner Griffin.
Just to add to some of the discussion on the park, but there's still open land in the western part of Mecklenburg County and the southern part of southwest Mecklenburg County. So if y'all want to come over there, there's some land over there. Let me just say to the manager, I like this process. It's painful, but it's going to ultimately benefit all of the residents of Mecklenburg County. And I just wish that you stay focused and put those challenges in front of us to make some tough decisions, because there's just not going to be a lot of monies available, and we have to make sure we get the greatest return on our investments for the residents of Mecklenburg County. So I just appreciate the process.
Commissioner Leek.
I have advocated for a moratorium to stop the growth. We cannot continue as we are continuing today. And it worries me that we have not pressed upon the city and the city council to do its job, to look at, because we will never build out of homelessness as the rate we're bringing in people today. The second thing, we are still looking at our young people who are out during the weekend, drinking and smoking and whatever they do, ending up in critical life situations. We are still having deaths every day in Mecklenburg County. And it grieves me as a parent, as a member of the community, and looking at districts that we have, and looking at what the outcome will be 10 years from today or 20 years from today. Because if we keep killing off black young men, we will not be growing as a people of color. So I would hope that this community will look seriously at talking with our young people. We're always talking about, let's put young people out front, but you need experience and people who've been there and done that and are part of the process. But we are in a serious crisis without a moratorium to stop the growth of Mecklenburg County and the city of Charlotte. So I can't stop talking about it because it's a problem and we are not addressing it as we ought to, so that in 10 years, what will we have? Nothing but high-rise apartments, people moving from New York, New Jersey, South Carolina, Virginia. Everybody's coming to Charlotte, but where they're going to live and how they're going to make it. We must look at the reality of where we are. And that's the end of my discussion today. I will finish it later.
All right, thank you. Thank you all colleagues for today, and certainly thank you to staff. Just want to remind everybody, State of the County tomorrow, 10 a.m. So look forward to seeing everyone there. And we're going to be at the, where we're going to be at Bojangles? Panther Stadium, that's right. We're going to be at Panther Stadium in the morning. Yeah, no.
And we need to fill it up.
We need to fill it up, that's right. Yes, we're going to get our own seats.
It'll be in the chat.
Yeah, it's just State of the County.
Your message?
It's our message. It's our message, not just mine.
We didn't publicize it.
They've been putting it out there. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned. Yep, tomorrow at 10 o'clock.